Hi everyone, happy August. I hope you are all enjoying the summer weather and your vacations. The back to school season is right around the corner and it can be a little overwhelming to start up school again. But luckily, in this month of August, we have some amazing women in jazz who are all in college that are going to give you some expert pro tips and tricks to get you through the beginning of school. So today we are super lucky to have Kellin Hanas with us today. She is a junior at the Manhattan School of Music studying jazz trumpet. So we are super excited to have you here, Kellin. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Kellin Hanas?
Boy, hey guys. Well, first of all, thanks Olivia for having me. My name is Kellin Hanas. As you heard, I'm a junior at the Manhattan School of Music for Jazz Trumpet. I'm currently 20 years old. I'm from Wheaton, Illinois, which is where I'm coming to you from right now over the summer. I'm an RA at school. I am really heavily involved in, student life and student activities at MSM, and also, trying to get myself out there and my music out there in New York, and doing the hustle game like everybody else. So that's a little bit about me.
So true. So how are you liking school so far? You're an RA, so you must like it enough to be an RA. What are some of like the common things that you see as an RA with new students that are coming in? Because this is what the series is about, is talking about back to school and some tips and tricks to get you through the school year. So how are you liking school, and what's it like being an RA?
Yeah, it's really interesting because my school experience was kind of different from quite literally. I mean, myself and other people my age, literally different from everybody else in history because we came into school during, I moved to New York in September of 2020, which is like, the height of the pandemic, and it was crazy and no orientation, and we kind of just were thrown in without any explanation and kind of had to, we were there on our own. And so having that experience as a freshman, kind of coming in, my parents weren't allowed to drop me off. I had to go by myself. So it was a very different situation. And so my sophomore year, when I came in, I was selected to be an RA. And I kind of knew from the beginning that I wanted to do the RA thing because I like helping people. And with my personal experience, I was like, I want to be somebody that, the younger people can go to and know that they can go to get that help.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just going into my sophomore year, I knew that I wanted to make that experience for the incoming freshmen a lot better than mine was freshman year. And so, yeah, I was actually in charge. My floor was a freshman floor. So I saw a ton of things, a ton of things. Um, as people, which, I'm really grateful that my residents felt comfortable enough to come and talk to me. But they would come up to my door, Kellin, I'm really stressed out about this and I don't know what to do. And we would work through it together, and, roommate mediations, stuff like that. And so, yeah, definitely being an RA at MSM has, I'm involved in the jazz department, obviously, and I love everybody in that department, but to be able to get outside of that and get more involved in student life and helping everybody at the school, it really, really makes it worth it for me and really makes me feel like I'm a part of a community. Whereas my freshman year, I was struggling with the community aspect of it, and I didn't really feel like I belonged there. Versus now I feel like I'm a very like solid part of the community there. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying my time, and yeah, that's like a good chunk of my time there.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And yeah, just a shout out to you and to everyone too that had to start school during a pandemic. Like it was challenging for me to move in when I was a freshman, and I had the luxury of having my parents and my family help me move in and everything. So I cannot imagine having to fly in all by yourself and move your life from the small town of Wheaton, Illinois to the Big Apple all by your lonesome. That seems extremely intimidating. So just a shout out to you and everyone else that had to deal with that, because oh my gosh, that's crazy. That being said, now that you're adjusted to college life and you feel like you've been a part of this community, college students especially are pulled in a lot of different directions, and so are high schoolers and even middle schoolers who are involved in music. So how are you balancing it all? You also have a big show coming up that you should tell everybody about, which I guess by the time this is out, it will be past. But you have a very big show at Birdland coming up. But how are you managing everything between school? I mean, it's the summer right now, but school, work, everything. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle sometimes. Especially with, I mean, the past 2 years we did have COVID restrictions, and we're still in a pandemic, and it's still not normal. And getting yourself out of that funk of, everybody was kind of in a little, COVID depression and having, problems with procrastination and focusing and stuff like that. And so, managing that has definitely been the most difficult thing for me. Because you're expected to perform normally when the world isn't normal, which is just not, what it should be. But, that's the world that we live in. You got to go to work, get your stuff done. So balancing that is difficult. Being an RA is a full-time job. I'm expected to, do duty, and it's like working at the school basically. You're in charge of other people. You get, a stipend to live there. You're getting paid to do the job. And that is a big time commitment. And you're responsible for other people and for helping other people. So you have to put your own needs aside to, deal with other people's stuff, which is a time commitment. And then, being a student on top of that and doing the work, even though it's music based, it's still work and it's still homework. And, you're still writing papers and reading books and, all of the above. And then also something new that has come into my life that I, first of all, did not expect at the time when it started happening. But, we were coming out of COVID more this year, and gigs just started coming out of nowhere. And so managing, it's just weird. Like, I go, okay, well, I have to play at Dizzy's tonight, but I have a rehearsal, but I have a class too, and I have to like move all this. So it's just like a lot of, time management. And, I definitely struggle with sometimes, getting the schoolwork done, because, you get a gig and you go, oh boy, well, I've got to take this gig because it's a great opportunity to go play pro. But then you've got like, a paper due the next morning, and you're like,
Right.
one is more, so, all of that, and then also balancing all of that with your social life and friends. And, I personally am such a huge people person. I need people. Like, I can't just lock myself in a room for a week and
Right.
go, don't bother me for the next week. I have a project. Like, I'm going to be hanging out with my friends at night and like trying to figure out how to see people. So, yeah, balancing all of that is extremely difficult, but you learn how to do it. And I always tell people, people will come to me be like, I'm so stressed with all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, guess what? It's okay to be stressed, but it's gonna have to get done. So it will. Like,
Oh,
it
true.
will get done because it needs to get done. So that's how I've been kind of viewing it. You're kind of stressed in the moment, but you take a step back and you go, okay, all of it's gonna get done. So like, calm down.
And yeah, you're right. It's tricky to prioritize too when you do get called for a gig, especially as performance majors, because we're going to school so that we can also play a bunch of gigs, and then you get a gig and it's professional. So there is this whole like thing that you have to deal with aside from all these commitments, is just like the mental gymnastics of trying to figure out like, okay, so can I get uptown to downtown in like 15 minutes? Probably not, and trying to adjust it all. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Are there some things that you wish you knew before starting your college career and, managing all of these commitments and getting called for gigs while also being a student?
Oh boy. I mean, you know, I just wish that, I mean, there's no way that you can be prepared for it without knowing it firsthand. Definitely some things that I wish, freshmen coming into college. I mean, most situations people are going to have, people that you're living with and, roommates. And it's a whole new experience of learning how to live with other people, which, because usually in high school or middle school or whatever, you go to school and then you come home and you have that separation, but then your school becomes your home, and it's a whole nother deal. So not only are you dealing with, oh, I just moved to a whole new city by myself and I've got to figure out my life here and I have never been to college before, but also, oh my gosh, like, I'm constantly with other people. I have to manage my relationships with these people. And that was definitely something that was hard for me to deal with, is learning how to live with other people. So, making sure that you take time, for freshmen, especially like the summer before you go to college, take time to yourself and figure out, what is it that I want slash need? What are my core beliefs and values that I would like to uphold this year?
Mhm.
And, what are some boundaries that I need to set with the people that I'm going to be spending my time with? And having all of that stuff kind of together at the beginning, and having those boundaries set in your mind for yourself of what you are and are and will not allow, is really, really good. And that's going to be very beneficial for everything. It's going to make you more focused on your work. It's going to make you, more driven for professional opportunities, just everything involved in that. Because just quite literally, the experience of moving to college is so new. It's, of course, going to distract you and deter you from, moving forward until you kind of figure out, who am I? Like, what is going on?
Right. So true. And really good advice for anyone that's starting college, especially. Do you have any other advice for students of music in general, whether they are middle schoolers, elementary schoolers who are just picking up the instrument, or even someone who has lived their life and is just now starting their musical journey now as an adult? Do you have any advice for musicians in general that are
Yeah.
students?
I mean, I wouldn't have continued if I had not found the people that I did. I think that a really, really important part of being a musician is having that community and having people that you can, like-minded people that you can share your music with and your dreams with and your aspirations with. And I've been very, very lucky to have a great community of people that I've met, over the past, 4 or 5 years that have become my best friends. I mean, you being such a close friend to me and being in, the band with me. And yeah, like those relationships are really, really important, and you kind of inspire each other. And that's how you innovate. And that's how you create, is by inspiring each other. You can't do it alone.
Yep.
S I highly suggest, if you're, no matter how old you are, like find a community of people that you feel comfortable around and that you feel like you can be honest with in your music, and share time with them, focus on those people. Just, be around people who are going to build you up personally and musically.
Yes, I couldn't have said that better myself, too. I think that's a perfectly worded answer. We are unfortunately just about out of time, but before we end and say our farewell, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. So, what is your favorite summer beverage?
Oh, Slurpees.
Slurpee. Oh gosh, I love a good Slurpee. Okay, if your life had a mascot, what would the mascot be?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Probably like just a monkey.
I love that. I love that. Okay, sunsets or sunrises?
Sunrise.
Oh, okay. A morning person, perhaps. Okay, favorite Disney movie?
Oh boy. I like Mary Poppins.
Oh, Mary Poppins. A really good one. And what is something that you bring with you wherever you go, if there is such a thing that exists?
A good hug.
A good hug. Oh, I love it. You heard it here, folks. Kellin always brings a good hug. Okay, so that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to the amazing Kellin Hanas. You can connect with Kellin on Instagram, social media, Kellin Hanas Music. She is always out and about playing gigs, spreading her happiness and joy with the world. She is such an inspiration and such a good friend of mine, and I love Kellin. If you want to see more of these videos, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Key of She Jazz. You can also follow us on social media at Key of She Jazz, and we will be posting different little interviews like this every Wednesday at 12 p.m. EST throughout the month of August. So thank you so much, Kellin, and we will see you next time, everybody. Thanks so much.